And the only time Yasser Arafat didn't tell me the truth was when he promised me he was going to accept the peace deal that we had worked out, which would have given the Palestinians a state on 96% of the West Bank and 4% of Israel, and they got to choose where the 4% of Israel was. So they would have the effect of the same land of all the West Bank. They would have a capital in East Jerusalem. They would have I can hardly talk about this. And they would have equal access all day, every day, to the security towers that Israel maintained all through the West Bank up to the Golden Heights.
So you're telling me that this whole free Palestine thing may not actually have anything to do with land, but instead the massacring of Jews? Wait, hold up. So it's possible that this wasn't about the occupation of land by colonizers, but instead it's about Palestinians desiring to destroy the Israeli state because they're Jews, because they're told to do so in their book. You tell me that that's an option, right? Well, yeah, it turns out that not only is that a possibility, but it is actually the entire story. You know, we make these things so complex, and I think part of it is because, yes, there are many complexities and there's a history to consider and, you know, geopolitics, etc. But if you just want to look at things at a human level, which is the best way for me to reason through anything, this is how I see it. There's a group of people who want to destroy the other group of people because of who they are. They don't like them. Now, why don't they like them? Because they've been taught not to like them. As a matter of fact, they've been taught that these people are your mortal and immortal enemies, in essence, right? Their book told them so. Now, see, my book happens to tell me that I need to love my enemy and bless those who persecute me. Again, God is working with me on these areas. Lord, you know you are. But when you have a book that states that it is your responsibility to blow up your neighbor or attack those who didn't even persecute you, who literally did nothing to you, who were just trying to kind of live their own lives, not even in the midst of you, just have their own thing, right? That's the whole Zionist thing. It's the whole, we have a nation of our own, and then we just sort of, you know, we do our own thing over here. Yeah, turns out that that right there is not enough, because according to their book, you must destroy these people if they do not submit. These are your marching orders. Now, this is something that is well understood by many of those who are surrounding, or even, I guess you would say, the forefathers, the ancestors, predecessors of the quote unquote Palestinian people, right? Their true heritage and lineage. Their granddaddies don't want to take them back in. Their cousins don't want anything to do with them. You know, whether it's Egypt or Jordan, whoever else it may be, they simply don't want to take them in because they understand that these people are out of their minds. Not all, but culturally speaking, there has been a, you know, it's okay. Radicalization is a word that's oftentimes thrown around by mass media to sort of differentiate the two parties. And I agree to some extent. But then there's another part of me that goes, well, technically, it's not necessarily radicalized. It's just them really going off of these principles. For example, you know, they say, oh, you're radicalized as a, you know, right-winger, conservative Republican nowadays because you believe in a nuclear family, mother, father, married, not baby mama, baby daddy, and a child born in the context of that marriage. That is now referred to as radical. Okay? It's not me. I'm telling y'all what they're saying over there. Radical actually would mean a zealous, dare I say, extremist position. Now, if you're going simply by the book, if you're just going by what it says in the text, are you technically a radical, or are you just somebody who is fundamental? Like when you speak of a fundamentalist Christian, it means that I actually believe in the word of God and I believe in the law that God has laid out for us. And as the one that we follow, our mediator, our God made flesh, Jesus Christ, he tells us, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. These two are the greatest laws. And if you follow these two laws, like if you just follow the first, then you will inherently follow the second. And so all of the law is brought to its finality, is complete. You are engaging in the entire law when you engage in this law. When you love God, all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you will inherently love your brother, your sister, even your enemy. And therefore, you're not going to steal. You're not going to take their life. You're not going to commit adultery, covet, and all these other things, right? That is what is considered a fundamentalist. If you are a fundamentalist Muslim, it means that you're likely going to at some point engage in what they call jihad. As a matter of fact, you are obliged to participate in the jihad, which is the holy war, which means when you find a Muslim who drives a car through a crowd of people, when you find a Muslim who blows himself up in the midst of, public transit or whatever it may be, in a massing of people, that is considered fundamentally, or as they say, radicalized, is really just fundamentally as Islam. Again, there are multitudes of Muslims who see that as radical as well. They see that as off, but this is where Christ is necessary for us to be freed from this religious spirit. We see this in a multitude of ways, but those who are in Islam they're deceived. Don't get it twisted. The God of Islam, Allah, is not the same God. I know they had us think that there is this trifecta. It is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's not the case. Judeo-Christianity is a thing because, technically speaking, this first half of our book right here, right, leading up all the way up to Matthew, all of this is Judeo. Even technically much of this is Judeo. It's just that the rest of us are grafted into it, right? The promise fulfilled means that we also become children of God. But this right here, this big old chunk, is Judeo. I know that, offends some out there. I don't know why. You must have not actually read through it to understand, the context of much of this script. So Palestinianism has always been about one thing, and has used many other things to sort of camouflage themselves, right? They've even gone as far as playing the victim in order for them to be seen by mostly Western societies or Western nations as victims. So they cry out, we simply want to have freedom of our land. We are being persecuted. They threw around the live genocide, which I did a full-length video and a full analysis. I broke it down, brought the receipts. You can go ahead and watch that when you get a chance. I'll be getting into the starvation lie deeper now that we're in the post ceasefire, I pray. But none of these things have ever been the reason why these people even care to exist in the first place. I came across a video of Osama bin Laden, and he was heaping his praises not onto Hamas, but onto Palestine, stating that they have the same purpose and agenda. Now, why would a man, the leader of Al-Qaeda, man who claims to be responsible for a multitude of terror attacks, including September the 11th, but we don't want to believe him. We don't want to believe the jihadist who tells you he did it. We want to blame it instead on a Jew, right? Of course. Why would that guy be praising this group of people, this so-called nation, if they did not share a modus operandi or a North Star, if they didn't have the same goals and intentions? Why would he say that they share the same mission if they didn't actually share the same mission? What mission is that? It's their holy war. It's their jihad. And how does it play out? In the ways that we see right in front of us. Let me go ahead and look this number up real fast. Like, I got time today, but I ain't got all the time today. I got to eat in a little bit. Today might be one of the only times where I didn't really have the time, but I got time for this. How many terror attacks since 2000? Let's see if they'll give me an honest number over here. Europe loves to hide the numbers. Historic timeline. Because some people say it's upwards to 50,000. Some say 60 to 70,000. Yeah, see, look at this. You find yourself in the belly of the beast. They're not going to give you any true information. They're not on average, blah, blah, blah. Look at that. We have Wikipedia. We have some European consulate or Wikipedia again. Vision of humanity. Yeah, I bet. Nah, they're not going to give us real answers here. Are they going to give it to us here? Over 20,000 people have had their lives taken. Let's see. Almost 45. Number of terror deaths can make it large. 2014. See, because this is what's happening. They've started. Whoa. Oh. That's weird. I just realized that. Okay. Oh, there we go. I was like caught in a low vortex there for a second. Okay, so I guess they're not going to give us the true numbers because they also stopped reporting it in the context of those demographics. It's only when it's white male that it's ever really reported now when it comes to a lot of these, liberal media outlets, which is most of our media outlets. But let's say, let's say 20,000 of them since the year 2020, the year 2001, let's say around 20,000 terror attacks from this very specific group of people. Would that not be, at the very least, cause for concern? Would you not have to think to yourself, okay, maybe we have a systemic problem here? Again, it's not saying everybody is doing it, but if there's a disproportionate amount of these things happening from this group, doesn't it make sense that we just contemplate it for a second? Maybe this ideology is the problem. You don't want to blame the people, right? I get that. We fight not against flesh and blood. Okay, perfect. We don't want to put it on the people, even though they're making the decision to be given over to this evil, but okay. Then is it not the doctrine that they're following that is the cause of this, which is the very same doctrine that is at the foundation of quote unquote Palestine? That's why they would celebrate a September the 11th. That's why they continue to celebrate October the 7th. This is the very same people, folks. So this cry of we want land, we simply want freedom on our land is a lie and always has been. Now, there are multitudes of so-called Palestinians who do want to live in peace, but to them, I would say, choose a different government. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there or click on the Cash App. leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, yeah. Staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, yeah. I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind. I've been getting visions of the other kind. Yeah, I've been up for weeks. I'm in the count of blessings over count of sheep. I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me. I used to be the pleaser for the people. I